Well, hello everyone. Welcome to a Wine Wednesday edition. I am your host, the founder and sommelier of the Wine Sisters. I'm Erin Henderson, and I'm delighted that you are here with us again. Today, we're talking about decanting. This can sometimes be, a little bit evasive for people. It's just so hard to figure out why should you decant and what should you decant and, why bother going through that rigmarole. One thing straight right now, I'm a huge fan of decanting. I often will decant whites as well as reds. You do have to be careful with the temperature control, but you can get decanters that are specifically made for white wine. They typically have a diamond-shaped bottom that goes inside an ice bucket, so that way it keeps the wine cold. I don't have one here right now, but that is not a bad idea for my birthday, which is on February 14th, if anybody really cares. What I am going to talk to you about is how we are going to decant red. Now, there's 4 reasons why you're going to decant. One is for basic aeration. Wine is a living, breathing thing. It's been trapped in a bottle for at least a year, if not several, and you need to open it up. You need to let that oxygen in the same way that when you need to wake up and stretch, you need to get some oxygen in to start to show yourself your best self and perk yourself up a little bit. Wine is the same. So aeration, terrific. It starts to show some really great flavors and aromatics. The next might be just for simple razzle dazzle show. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I used to work in a restaurant where I had my own decanting table positioned right in the center of the restaurant. And honestly, I kid you not, people would stop what they were doing and would turn and would watch. And once I even got a round of applause. That is, I'm not saying that to humble brag. That wasn't even really a humble brag. That was just a straight up brag. But it really does show a little bit of circumstance. It does show a little bit of regality. It does give a little bit of extra zhuzh and glam to the occasion. So that's another reason. You may want to consider decanting for temperature control. If you find that your wine, you're pulling it out of your basement or your root cellar or whatever, and your wine is just a little bit too cold, simply by moving it into another vessel, getting that oxygen in there, you're going to warm it up to a more appropriate temperature rather than something that's ice cold. And then finally, the bigger reason is for sediment. Now, this doesn't happen a lot anymore these days. A lot of red wines, when they're made, they are sediment free. The winemakers have already sort of worked on that, and you don't get a lot of those sediments. But in older bottles, however, you need to be careful with decanting older bottles. You don't want to get too aggressive with more fragile older bottles. But as those tannins start to fall out and you get more of those coffee granular bits at the bottom of your wine, you clearly don't want to drink them because it's texturally unpleasing. So I'm going to show you how you do that. Before we get into how you actually do the decanting, let's talk about decanters themselves, shall we? I have a couple of really common ones. You'll find something similar to this in most restaurants where they have the spout and the wider base. I hate these. I hate these because even though they offer, the wine when you pour in a bottle, even it's deceptively large, it'll come up to about here, so you get some really nice oxygen wine interfacing. But when you actually want to pour it out, the wine will, believe it or not, get trapped in these sides, so you're doing something very ungraceful by trying to push it out from the side and give it a shake. There's nothing elegant about that. I absolutely do not like these style of wine decanters. You can use something sort of casual and easygoing like this. I don't mind this at all, but once again, when you're pouring it out, it's going to get caught in the sides and it's not particularly easy. What I really like, and perhaps this is the bohemian in me, I like this. This is a simple ceramic jug that I use all the time. I like this because it has the interfacing. You're going to get a lot of wine exposed to oxygen by this big opening. It's got a handy handle. It's got a spout that's going to avoid drips. And I get it. I get that there could be some, beautiful, chic works of art, huge things that you can pay $1,000 for. Are you ever really going to use them? Probably not. And then more than that, how are you going to polish them and keep them clean? That's a story for a different day. I love this. And we have a couple of these sort of very utilitarian, but also I think slightly whimsical styles that I will pour into. So I'm going to show you how to do it for sediment. Traditionally, back in the day, you would use a candle. That's still the very romantic way to do it and absolutely perfect. However, obviously candlelight is not going to be as strong as a flashlight. So what we're going to exchange for romance, we are going to gain in actual practicality. So I've just got a simple phone light right here. And I've got my bottle. What I am going to do is I'm going to have my napkin so no drips will happen, but I'm going to start pouring into this decanter. And I'm pouring right over this light. This light is hitting the shoulder of the bottle, so I can start to see if and when some sediment is rising up from the top. I've kept this bottle upright for a number of hours, so that would have the sediment falling down to the bottom. If you've been keeping your wine on its side and you can see clearly that there's a sediment streak in there, that's a bit of a different story. You want to be a little bit careful, but try to keep if you have that kind of pre-planning in terms of your wine life, keep your wine upright for a number of hours to have that sediment sink to the bottom. So as we continue to pour, and I'm looking down straight over this light, nothing much is happening here, which is pretty good. Looks like we're getting the green light. We're good to go. We are G2G, kids. So it looks like, as I said to you earlier, not a lot happening. But normally I would stop it right about there if there was going to be some sediment, and it would start to pool and it would catch in the shoulder of the wine. And then you can just pull it back up. Now there are times where you might have, this one just would have like about 1 centimeter or so. You might have a couple of inches if there's a lot of sediment in your bottle. If that really bothers you, you can always take it away, pour it through a coffee filter. So if you really want to recoup those last remaining drops of your wine, you do you, whatever you think is best. But now I've got a clean wine in my decanter, ready to pour, and for all the guests. I probably would be decanting, depends on the wine. There's some wines that are actually better when I decant them hours and hours beforehand, but generally speaking, about an hour sitting in a decanter is perfect. If this was a white wine, or even for this red, right before serving, I would put the whole decanter in the fridge for about 5 or 10 minutes for a red, just to drop it down a nice temperature that's gonna be simple to sip. And for white wines, if I was using this, I would decant and I would keep it in the fridge and then bring it out, after an hour of chilling. But probably an average of 1 hour for most wines will be good to have them open up and expand. So I really hope that you try this. If you do leave me a comment and let me know what your favorite wines are, what wines you want to decant, any other burning wine questions that you have, and we will have a lot of fun in the comments. In the meantime, if you like this, please share it, and do make sure you subscribe so you will get an alert when new videos come out every Wednesday. Okay guys, thanks so much. My name's Erin, I'm from the Wine Sisters, and I will see you next week. Santé.